This is the Patrick Henningsen Show on TNT Radio.
Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to the final segment of the final hour of this live broadcast. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. Tremendous segment with an absolute legend, Jackie Walker, joining us just before the break. She is incredible. We're very pleased she was able to find time. She's very busy in her work. Pleasure to have her on the program. I want to bring Basil Valentine on, our correspondent on global and political affairs. Basil, I don't know if you caught any of that, but Jackie, absolutely incredible. She's been at ground zero of this issue for the longest time, and it's just incredible to see these people like Jackie and others vindicated, completely vindicated, and then watching the total meltdown of the establishment over a by-election in Rochdale, north of Manchester, wherever it is. But your reaction on Jackie's segment.
I thought it was great, and you're right. She's very eloquent and clear thinking and would make an excellent MP herself. I think she should be encouraged to stand possibly for the Workers' Party of Great Britain, the party, of course, of George Galloway, which, as Tony Gosling said, has seen a huge surge in membership over the last 72 hours. And earlier today, George himself was sworn in as the MP for Rochdale, returned for the first time since the Workers' Leaders Party's by-election. Now, that's the first ever seat by the Workers' Party of Great Britain. That's worth noting. They've never won a seat before. And I think they can win more. He was sworn in by the Conservative Father of the House, Peter Bottomley. That's the MP who has served for the longest. And the former Scottish National Party member Neil Hanvey, who is now a member of the Alba Party. Other childish genocide-supporting individuals like Labour's Liz Kendall have said they won't speak to him. And I think the more they shun him and all the rest of it, the more popular he's likely to get. His interview last week with Sky in particular, where they tried to hijack his election victory party, something that backfired spectacularly, has gone viral. And we can hear some of that now. This is clip 2.
Apartheid state of Israel. A lot of people think that the phrase "from the river to the sea" is racist and anti-Semitic. Do you?
Are there really a lot of people? I appreciate there are a lot of people in the media bubble, in the political class, who at least pretend to. But what is objectionable about people being free between a river and a sea?
Jewish people think it's intimidatory, and they think it's
not the Jewish people. Not the Jewish people on the demonstrations for Gaza chanting it. Some Jewish people say that they find it these things, but
is that something worth respecting?
No, because the Palestinians have a right to be free, and they have a right to be free between the river and the sea. Now, if you're really asking me what should be the final state of affairs in Israel-Palestine, well, my position is quite well known. I think there should be one democratic and secular state between the river and the sea. And if I was doing their marketing, I'd call it the Holy Land.
So you don't want Israel to exist?
No state has a right to exist. Not the Soviet Union, not Czechoslovakia, not the Zionist apartheid state of Israel. I believe that the best solution for everybody is, as it was in South Africa, freed from apartheid, a democratic state where white people and black people, Jews, Christians, Muslims, live as equal citizens under the law. That's what I believe. I appreciate you don't believe it, and that there are others who don't believe it, but it's a legitimate view. It's one that has already been adjudged in law in Britain to be a legitimate one, and I hold it, and I got a mandate for it tonight.
There you go, Basil. He's got his mandate, and everyone's having a go at George for his fringe views and how he's upset voters, but yet he won by a majority. So like he got his mandate. He just keeps coming back to that point, and you really can't beat him on that. That is the last word, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it was really startling to see the Prime Minister humiliate himself in Downing Street on Friday, effectively demonizing the voters of Rochdale for picking the wrong guy, But of course, the sacred cow that Galloway has in his sights there is the two-state solution. This mantra that we're hearing is, Galloway is there making the case for the one-state solution, something increasingly accepted by, liberal former Zionists like Peter Beinart, very influential in America, as well as Palestinian activists like Ali Abumina, a growing number of people. Very simple, one state for all the residents of historic Palestine, be they Muslim, Christian, Jew, whatever, democratic, no apartheid, etc. But of course, that means the end of the Zionist project, because it wouldn't be, although, of course, as I say, Jews would live in the one state, it would not be enshrined in law that they are the governing minority, majority, whatever. So very interesting that George is articulating that. His number two, Chris Williamson, who was on the program last week, is now under investigation, believe it or not. What the investigation is about, I've absolutely no idea, for saying that Israel has forfeited the right to exist as a result of its genocide in Gaza. I don't see what's controversial about that.
So you can be investigated for having a political opinion about a genocidal regime. So it's like, Nazi Germany might not have the right to exist after what they've done to ethnic minorities across Europe during the Second World War. Would that be a controversial position, like to have in 1945 or something like this? I mean,
exactly.
That's kind of what we're dealing with here. Pol Pot.
Yes.
Does Cambodia have the right to exist after the Khmer Rouge's rampage? I mean, come on. This is ridiculous.
Completely and utterly ridiculous, Patrick. I couldn't agree more. But, nevertheless, the establishment have been sort of doubling down. We're going to hear soon from the former Labour MP, John Woodcock, now Lord Walney. He's got some tricks up his sleeve. They want to try and stop MPs participating in the Palestine Solidarity Campaign's events until, and I quote Woodcock, until the PSC has got its house in order. Very, very strange. I'm not sure what it is that the PSC are supposed to have been doing or what they need to do in order to get the seal of approval. But Sunak and his cohorts are absolutely enraged and utterly dismayed by the size and strength of feeling against them, against the genocide, and in favor of peace. So they're thrashing around, doing absolutely anything they can to try and portray ordinary, non-violent protesters as dangerous extremists. Jeremy Hunt was asked, could he name any of these violent Islamic extremist groups that pose such a threat? He couldn't. There are people on Talk TV talking about the terror threat being raised to 9/11 level. It's all absolute 100% junk, 100% phony to try and demonize supporters of Palestine. It's gone as far as accusing Charlotte Church, the angelic Welsh singer who organised a choir for Palestine. She, of course, has been accused of anti-Semitism for wanting an end to the mass murder and mutilation of children. And she responded to those allegations on the X platform, as we can hear now.
It's really wonderful to be in solidarity with, so many people who care so much, who are really having their hearts broken about what's going on in Palestine. I think it's really important at a time when our Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, is talking in really scary ways about about what these protests are. They're, like, my experience of them thus far, every event that I've been to do with Palestine has always been really peaceful, has always been like a lot of singing and just lots of, it's really peaceful people trying to put pressure on our government, on our world governments, to have a ceasefire. This is really not radical. We're saying, please stop dropping bombs on children.
Incredible, Basil. Incredible. Yeah, great to see a high-profile British entertainer, Charlotte Church. But, Basil, weren't we campaigning for a ceasefire back in late October? I remember being on this program with you.
Now, Patrick.
It was shouting into the forest.
Yeah, long time. And unfortunately, Charlotte Church, Roger Waters, these people are the exception rather than the rule. All these liberal celebrities care so much about humanity and all the rest of it. Largely silent. It's absolutely abysmal. We should be hearing the loudest, chorus of condemnation of what's happening in Gaza that we've heard in our lifetimes for any military action or humanitarian catastrophe, because people talk about this as if it's a famine, the result of a natural disaster or something. The fact that people are starving to death, and there was a boy featured on social media, utterly emaciated, looking exactly like the emaciated figures from the Second World War. He has died now. So the number of Palestinian children that have been starved to death, they haven't simply starved, they've been deliberately starved to death, is now well into double figures, and, sadly is only going to grow. But Jackie Walker referenced Kamala Harris's comments, very, very cynical. Somebody likened this airdrop of 38,000 mostly out of date meals, incidentally, to the Japanese dropping a box of crackers into Auschwitz in the autumn of 1944. It's about similar to that, because the same side that is funding and providing diplomatic cover for the genocide thinks it can mollify itself by a tokenistic food drop. I mean, it's really bizarre stuff. And what does that tell us? Somebody else was posting on X earlier today about who is the boss in the Israel-USA relationship. Certainly at the moment, it appears to be Israel, because the United States is frankly humiliated itself. It's saying we cannot get aid to the starving via the land routes because our ally is stopping us. What? The ally we're funding and providing diplomatic and military assistance to is stopping us from our theoretically stated aim of preventing an out-and-out famine and the death of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands more. I mean, it's the most bizarre situation.
Basil, correct me if I'm wrong, but before October 7th, the daily number of lorries, 18-wheelers, aid convoys, trucks coming into Gaza is between 400 and 500 per day. So how difficult is it to, at least get, 100 or 150 per day in there? But that hasn't happened. They've total blockade of Gaza. It is insane that the United States would be airdropping aid onto the beaches like we've seen. These scenes are incredible, as you say. I mean, it really just shows the total farce that is policy on this issue from a Washington point of view. They might think, I don't know what they're expecting on optics on this, but I don't think people are that stupid. People see right through this as the sort of political stunt that it is. But obviously, why can't you just open the roads and let the aid in? There's plenty of it, Basil, waiting to come.
Well, Benny Gantz is in Washington as we speak, having meetings with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. He is in the war cabinet. He's one of the people who has been saying that the aid blockade must continue, that it is only right and proper that the Palestinians are systematically starved to death. And yet he is described in Western media, in The Guardian today, for example, as a centrist. Who knew? I think the idea is that they can bend his ear to some small extent. But, Itamar Ben-Gvir, the security minister, in response to what Kamala Harris said this morning, posted on social media saying, "No, Kamala, it's time to destroy Hamas. So no ceasefire, we're going to carry on with the killing." And of course, destroying Hamas means killing thousands of innocent civilians as well and maiming thousands more. I also want to just refer to the language used by Harris. She said, "We want to see a decrease in the number of casualties." Well, so far we're at 31,000 dead and 60 or 70,000 injured. Those numbers are not going to go down. So there isn't going to be any decrease in casualties. Some of the dead are not going to come back to life. People who've had their legs blown off are not going to suddenly regrow them. What she means is we want to see a decrease in the rate of increase of casualties. So in other words, we'd like to see you kill people slightly less quickly. The numbers are going up too high. But of course, it's reported as her wanting to see a decrease in the number of casualties, and that is a physical impossibility. So I hope I don't sound like I'm being pedantic, Patrick, but I think it's a very
no. You are literally trying to basically disassemble the logic of Kamala Harris, which itself is a major undertaking because the word salads have become impossible to decipher. You've done that very skillfully, Basil. To show the hypocrisy in the political speech, which is one of your great skill sets, Basil Valentine, political editor at TNT, and our correspondent on this show as well. Really appreciate you, Basil, for joining us.
Thank you, Patrick.
And a big thank you to Jackie Walker. Wow, what an incredible segment. Also our other guest, Sam Husseini, and of course, the amazing Tony Gosling. This has been a powerhouse today. And it's only Monday, folks. We'll be back tomorrow with a lot more coming up this week. Get ready, folks. Strap yourselves in. Close the blast shield. It's all coming right down the pipeline. I'm Patrick Henningsen here at TNT, Today's News Talk. Take care, everybody. Stay on the network and support the network as well. We'll need your help going forward. All the best. Signing out.